Let's talk about something that's pretty important but often gets overlooked. Women on YouTube over 50. Honestly, it's crazy to think about how underrepresented we are here on YouTube. Number one is that there are just more males on this platform than females in every single age group except for the 65 plus category, where there are 4.9% women and 4.6% men. And this is users, but given that men over 40 outnumber women over 40 in media in general, that's TV, ads and films, why wouldn't this stat be true as well on YouTube? YouTube's audiences, the biggest audiences, are in the USA and India. We're stuck in a loop where youth and beauty seem to rule the day. Seriously, how many films and TV shows have women over 50 in the lead? What about ad campaigns? It's like we're supposed to be invisible. If we don't want to be invisible, we have to show the world that we do want to be visible. Reminds me of the time a guy at work said that his wife was walking home from work one day and there was a guy walking towards her, and she'd noticed, this was a few years ago now, but she'd noticed that he didn't really make much in the way of eye contact with her, and she'd obviously started noticing this as she was getting a little bit older. So she mentioned it to her partner when she got home, and she just said that, that seems to be part of growing older, that people don't make as much eye contact with you. And I thought that was interesting because I think that can be true sometimes. I'm definitely not saying that women have to dress for the male gaze, or that's any kind of goals to be going for, like whether a stranger male is going to be making eye contact with you while you're walking along the street. I really just bring it up because that's a true story about someone who's noticing some of the changes, just as we're getting older. But what I am saying is that as long as we make sure that we are still taking care of ourselves, and I don't think there's any harm in making sure that we dress sometimes to give ourselves a thrill so that we're still excited about life, and our clothes just really cheer us up and make us feel really just, on that day, as opposed to, just those days where our energy is a bit more lacking and we're just schlepping around the house. There's just a little bit of light in our eyes, when you know that you look good. When you feel good, you look good. And clothes can make us feel good. And I'm sure that many of us do have clothes in our wardrobes that we know. We put those on when we want to feel really, really good. I think that people can see that in our eyes and our faces and just even the way that we carry ourselves. And that's worth dressing up for sometimes, isn't it? As opposed to when we are editing videos hard out, half pajamas, half clothes. Yeah, I just think that eye contact thing is an interesting one to ponder. And of course, every culture is different, every society is different. And in some of these large, big metropolitan cities, they're not places where you are generally making eye contact with people. But I guess I'm talking about like your local safe places to go where, your community, where you do make eye contact with people, sometimes, or I don't know, just low-key community suburb. And we all know times when we're making our videos and we've gone and sprinkled some magic fairy dust on and around us, for example, maybe a little bit of makeup or clothes. And yeah, that just feels good. You feel kind of like put together, pulled together, and ready for anything. Or even just making sure that the top that you're wearing doesn't have any stains on it. You look good, and I just think that gives you a spring in your step. Like nothing can stop you. By starting and growing YouTube channels at our age, we get to see and hear and appreciate our sisters talk about their experiences. So let's get more of us girls on YouTube. Number 2, one big hurdle is dealing with stereotypes about age that we're somehow not capable or irrelevant. And it can be hard to shake off those perceptions, especially if you're wanting to jump into the YouTube world. And we know the stereotypes, the cougar scoring the young buck. And don't even go there on the movies where the older female has a younger male partner and the storyline is about, see, this is him being lucky to have her and she's choosing him or not choosing him. I just think those films are there to try and grab the postcards from the age crowd, like our age group. I don't even go there on those films. Don't watch them. But yeah, those kinds of films are a big yawn for me. My favourite film is Jane by Charlotte that I watched on the plane actually when I was coming home from New York last year, and it was very, very different from And Just Like That, the Sex and the City sequel movie from a couple of years ago, which for some reason got quite bagged in the media and had like 55% I think on Rotten Tomatoes. But you know what? that's just a fun film, and I don't hold anything against them, but apparently the critics were saying things like anti-feminism or something like that, and I tried thinking about that before I made this video, and I just couldn't get my head around it. I thought, you know what, it's just a popcorn movie. I don't really think there's anything terrible about it, apart from the fact that, well, you know, it's not great art, is it? It's just entertainment, a popcorn movie. So I loved seeing the New York scenery in both of those films, and sadly I was in a metal projectile moving at more than 550 miles per hour away from New York. Too sad. And no, I did not visit the steps of Carrie's apartment. But the very funny thing is that a week after I came back, I saw a story about the owner of that apartment had written a letter to the Heritage Protection Council or something like that in New York City, complaining about the free-spending grown women in tutus who were coming by 24/7. But yeah, they got an approval to put up a gate, and good for them. It sounds a little bit horrendous the way people have just been fanning all over the steps and ringing the doorbell and all kinds of other dreadful things, but yeah, pretty funny. Take the silver tsunami phrase that we've heard many, many times, and Kathy Greenlee was a former US Assistant Secretary for Aging. She wrote that a tsunami is a large wave that results in vast destruction and mass casualties. In other words, older adults are a natural disaster. And there are so many others, like men being silver foxes versus women who let their hair go grey, almost have to defend their decision not to spend hours of time and money dyeing their hair back to the colour that it used to be. Silver fox, defending your hair. Not the same. So let's overwrite old stereotypes by putting new information out there into the world. Number 3 is the whole tech thing. And unless you've been living off the grid for 10 or more years, we all successfully live in a digital world. Just because you haven't been creating content about yourself up to this point in time, it doesn't mean that you can't, and that you can't learn as you go in the same way that anyone at any age is learning as they go to make content for YouTube. If you haven't done it before, you haven't done it before, regardless of your age. But let's face it, building a brand, figuring out editing software, promoting yourself on social media, probably for the first time, can feel super overwhelming. It's a lot to take on, and I totally understand the hesitation of some people to dive into it. You're going to see yourself in light that, you didn't think about unflattering light before, really, apart from Christmas photos. And I can understand it, because after you've filmed yourself, you then have to look at yourself for quite a while you're editing your video, and you're seeing yourself in light that you never really knew how many bad light situations you could have until you started to try and film yourself for YouTube again and again and again. Honestly, it can be a little bit confronting, and I do think it can be regardless of your age, but perhaps a little more so as we get a little bit older. Because suddenly wrinkles get shadows, and not necessarily like from the sun being on the right direction or the wrong direction. 4K. Yes, 4K, anyone? This was super evident around COVID times when we had to have Zoom videos, Loom videos, Teams, Skype, endless amounts of video calls where you had to see yourself quite a bit on camera, like for work meetings, and they were in spaces that you couldn't control. You're not doing any kind of like putting up some lighting or anything like that. In actual fact, it's probably even better if your lighting is, a little bit on the darker side, but I should just speak for myself. And coupled with starting a YouTube channel, which is a long-term gig, you have to grow new coats of armour to protect yourself from having gotten over the speed bump of just getting started to do people like my videos? Is anyone watching my videos? It's a bit of a roller coaster. We know that ageism in media is real, and this isn't news. Women over 50 often get sidelined, and this is true for YouTube as well. I divide my time on YouTube these days between watching my fellow creators in my niche, watching their videos, and watching some tech videos to help solve my YouTube problems, and also just some general consumption. But I've really flipped the formula on the kinds of videos that I used to mass consume compared to now. I heard a creator in our niche say recently that there are no videos that we haven't seen before. All of the motivational videos about starting on YouTube and just continuing and being consistent, and sort of a lot of the how-tos, there's nothing that is actually brand new. They're just variations and a different take for each creator that's making those videos. And occasionally there's a bit of an update, but oftentimes I think we can use them, I know that I have, for a bit of a dopamine hit and a reminder. And just with a different voice, and I just hope that I'm going to leave that video more motivated than I was before the video, which, can be the case, but also it can't be the case as well. Watch YouTube for tech help, because once you've learnt the thing, you've learnt the thing, and you'll just be amazed the way that you can just add on, and your videos will get better and better and better. That's super evident, and it's something that every single creator has the experience of. So there's really great leverage in learning how to do the editing stuff that you need to do. Number 4, women over 50 have life experience that by stepping up and inserting ourselves into the mix, our voices and all of their nuanced rainbow colours will be included in the conversations. But here's the good news. There are phenomenal women out there breaking the mould, like you, because most likely you've got a YouTube channel, and if you don't have a YouTube channel, you are supporting the rest of us by adding comments into the conversation. And if you liked the video, by liking or sharing or even subscribing to the creator, that all helps. I'm really excited about the new friends that I've made online here in this over 40, over 50, over 60 niche, because I have met people and I've learned things that I never knew before. Some of the really fantastic channels that I follow are about life as a Gen Xer, ADHD, chronic fatigue syndrome, makeup tutorials, life as an introverted YouTuber, life living on a small homestead. Dee and Doug retired as Dee tears around living her best life and then pairs up with Doug sometimes, or Doug just appears on camera coming down the stairs in his bathrobe. Loved that video. Life as an introverted mum, life as an introverted single mum, channels with Silver proudly in their handle name. I will leave links to quite a few of these channels down below, so please be sure to check those ones out. By sharing our stories and knowledge, we can actually become role models for women of all ages. By taking action and doing something that's a little bit hard, that's inspiring regardless of how old you are or even what gender you are. Remember, we're not dead yet, and if we're not dead yet, we're not dead yet. When women over 50 step into the YouTube space and put their creativity on display, that really paves the way for other women of the same age to follow suit, because there's so many of us on here and we're all different and we all relate differently. We've all had different life experiences. There's no shortage of role models on here over 50. So make sure that if this is something that you want to do, just grab the bull by those horns and go for it, because we've only got one life, and if we're not dead yet, we're not dead yet. The underrepresentation of women over 50 here on YouTube is glaring. So if this is something that you want to do, I super encourage you to do it. It's just an incredible journey of self-discovery, pain, self-discovery, frustration, self-discovery, lots of really good things, a lot of which I hope that I've covered off in this video. Like, there's connection, there's support, there's encouragement. No shortage of women doing what women are very, very good at doing, which is supporting each other. So you know what to do now. Go and make that video. If you've never made a video before, I really encourage you to go and make a video and post it, and then post your next one, and post your next one, post your next one. And thank you for watching. I really, really appreciate you.